interesting motorcycles, so a BMW S 1000 XR and a Triumph Tiger 1200 in its GT form. What I'm doing is comparing these two back to back in separate categories to tell you what they feel like and which and why I believe is doing better in every listed category that we'll be going through. I've ridden all big adventure motorcycles, and even though some of us do not recognize BMW S 1000 XR as an adventure motorcycle, BMW does. So let's stick to that. And there are actually good reasons for including it. Look, I also do not own any of the mentioned motorcycles, so I'm not under the influence of anything, basically, here. Especially the my mom is the best syndrome. In the end, I tell you which out of these two I would buy myself and why. Now let's get to it and start off with the first category, which is engine and performance. And I believe that both of these bikes are so much about their engines. BMW S 1000 XR has an insanely powerful 4-cylinder engine with 999 cubic centimeters of displacement. Triumph Tiger 1200 has a larger 3-cylinder engine with 1160 cubic centimeters of displacement. BMW is more powerful with its 165 horsepower versus 150 horsepower of the Triumph. But then it's Tiger that has more torque at 130 Newton meters, while S 1000 XR has 114 Newton meters. It sort of balances itself out in terms of the numbers, but the feeling that you get riding them is very different. Both feel very smooth, but it's the BMW that gets totally crazy when you reach its highest RPM near the red line. It's just insanely powerful there and makes the world around you look curved. It is truly amazing, and this alone makes it a very exciting motorcycle. Not many have such capabilities. Triumph isn't slow, but it is a different level. Triumph is more flexible on the other hand, so if you're not at a racetrack or not always in the first gear, it may actually be quicker to respond and let you quickly overtake. BMW needs to be ridden like a sports bike to make you as excited as its engine is excited. Otherwise, it's not that quick to respond with a proper kick. It doesn't pull as well from the bottom, and the main reason aside torque is that its gears are very long while all that power is available at the highest RPM. So naturally, right at the beginning, you're not having that, starting from 0 kilometers per hour. Triumph is more equal, sort of more flat in terms of delivering power throughout the whole range, and I see that some riders may appreciate it more. It's not a low RPM king, but it's better here. BMW is, in my opinion, also more smooth in operation, not generating that much vibration, while Triumph does vibrate over 5000 RPM. So which bike should win here? We've got a more flexible Tiger and crazier up there BMW, but weaker right at the start. So it's a tough call in here, but despite loving what BMW does at high RPM, riding more slowly like in the city, which I do actually quite a lot myself, Triumph's engine is giving me more earlier on, and I could actually feel the difference between certain gears, which in S 1000 XR they seem very similar as they're all long. I'm going to say that because of this, because those two last facts, I'm giving a win to the Triumph. The second category to compare them in is handling at variety of speeds. S 1000 XR doesn't like to be ridden slowly, and you can feel that even when just setting off. It's like, buddy, get me to 160 kilometers per hour. Come on, this just hurts. It's not feeling that light when turning or even when playing around between the cars in traffic. However, at speeds, it doesn't seem happy either, as I feel that it doesn't actually suddenly feel light at speeds. So it's a tough spot there. Tiger is better here and feels like it's got things more under control, allowing you also to steer easier where you want. They are both dealing with it, but Tiger requires less effort in comparison, and the bike, it doesn't feel like it's complaining. At higher speeds, both are okay, they are still pretty precise, but I would say that it's again the Triumph that's easier to shoot into a corner, stay there, and keep changing angles. Maybe S 1000 XR would deliver a different result at 200 kilometers per hour, which is top speed of the Triumph basically, and above, but I haven't got there in this generation, and Tiger, yeah, again, cannot go there, so it's not much of a comparison. there. A win for the Triumph here, as it's more rider friendly, I think, and it's simply easier to handle around. Suspension wise, both bikes have electronically adjustable suspension, with Tiger giving you a possibility of smoothly adjusting its stiffness step by step, and there are many of those steps. BMW has less possibilities in terms of that. Both bikes can be pretty comfortable, but Tiger 1200 can go a step further, becoming really super soft with just a bit of floating in there. It can also get very stiff. S1000XR does great with all the bumps, and it's always composed when it comes to that, so I would say that on a regular level, which we might want to use on regular roads, they effectively can give you basically the same. And it's interesting, as Tiger has much more suspension travel at 20 centimeters, while S1000XR has 15 centimeters. But it doesn't feel like it would need more to deal with any kind of road irregularities that you throw at it. And I'm surprised and I'm impressed, especially remembering the previous super hard version of the XR. So here they're really both very good. Now then, Tiger's front suspension dives along, and this is not a nice feeling. In BMW doesn't seem to be anything that's upsetting the bike, and it doesn't dive much. This would make the whole riding experience more pleasant, I believe. The thing is that the perception of suspension is very closely related to handling, at which Tiger feels much better to me. And adjustment is easier too, and with larger range in the Tiger than in BMW. And this would be the only thing that tips the scale in Tiger's favor. And I actually already gave it a win in my head because of that. But its diving front end is really annoying to me, and it's very clear when braking. So because of nothing like that in BMW, I'm giving it a win, despite overall riding experience not being as pleasant. And I believe that S1000XR here deserves a win. The next point is about their seats and position comfort. On both motorcycles I was sitting upright and with foot pegs in a comfortable spot, handlebars being wide enough on both bikes. Maybe just the one on the S1000XR is a bit narrower than the Tiger's, but the one in the Triumph seems quite straight on the other hand, and I wish it had more pullback, that it was more significant. It seems like you need to bend forward a bit. Now about the seats. On the BMW you're sitting at 84 centimeters, and on the Triumph at 85 or 87 centimeters, depending on how you set it. It's adjustable, so you've got some choice. And I liked the seat on an XR, but have heard that many of you guys do not enjoy it. It's like sitting in a dedicated gap with not many possibilities of moving forward and backward. So you're basically stuck, and I can understand that if you're stuck in a place that's not perfect for you, not having an option of adapting can be frustrating. And that's why I went myself with an electronically adjustable office chair, 7G11, in which everything is adjustable smoothly and in pretty large range. So no matter what one's body type and preference is, you can make it happen so that you're comfortable, and it works. So check these chairs at powerseats.eu when you've got the chances. They are really awesome. Now in Triumph, you've got that height adjustment, and the seat itself is unusually comfortable, which makes it an even more comfortable bike than the whole experience of a bike in an XR. I am very impressed, and there is no other way than give it to the Triumph Tiger in this area of comparison. The next one is wind protection. In S1000XR, the wind stream is mostly smooth with no turbulences, but I'm not very much protected at my 183 centimeters tall or 6 feet tall. The adjustment here consists of two positions that do not create that much difference in fact. Tiger gives you a taller windshield overall with larger range of adjustment and with the possibility to choose anything in between the positions, so it's a fluid adjustment. The thing about the Tiger is that there are turbulences behind that windshield, and it lets some crap fly into your helmet from the bottom, and this was problematic. Well, it was causing discomfort in my case. So despite being overall covered more, I think that I prefer a smooth stream hitting my helmet and no sand and no insects in my eyes on the BMW, and that's my winner here. In the next category, so brakes, we've got a BMW which does everything fine. It's really great. It has strong brakes that are easy to dose, and we've got a Triumph that in the rear has a panicking ABS and in the front a panicking Hall brake system. So initially nothing happens in the front, and then along with squeezing the front brake lever more, it suddenly engages, making the soft front suspension, this is what adds to it, makes it dive like crazy, which puts the whole bike out of control and puts you out of control, basically. It's like there's no damping and the bike just compresses the front suspension when you engage that brake, when you do it without the feel that you should have. But it takes time to get used to it. And this doesn't help when braking, and so BMW does that much better taking when home. Then we've got drivetrain, and large differences as BMW is propelled by a chain, while Triumph is using a drive shaft. And obviously drive shaft is more advanced and more comfortable, so, well, Triumph simply wins here. The next one is fuel tank sizes, and here the Tiger 1200 GT Pro, like the one I'm showing you now, is coming with a 20-liter tank, just like any BMW S1000XR. But in the background there is also a trim called Explorer in a GT or Rally versions. This one has a 30-liter tank, so for the whole trim of all those model ranges, Triumph is giving us more choices, which is also preferable, and this makes the Tiger win here. Now in terms of weight, it's quite interesting since BMW S1000XR is significantly lighter than Tiger 1200 GT. BMW is 226 kilograms and Tiger is 240 kilograms, or 245 like this GT Pro. The thing is that despite BMW being lighter, it feels like a stone between your legs. Tiger, on the other hand, is a bit taller, but to me it feels like an easier mass to control both at a standstill and also when rolling, when riding. And this, I admit, is a bit strange, but it has to do with the handlebar, with your position on the bike, with its balancing and the center of gravity and how easy it is to grab the bike. Tiger in the GT variant, definitely not in the Rally variant, gotta keep that in mind. GT feels easier and lighter to me than S1000XR, and based on that experience, Tiger wins here in my comparison of weight. Yeah, it is a heavier bike and it feels lighter. I said it again. The next category is tech. BMW can have keyless ignition with a keyless fuel cap, and so does Triumph, which is great overall for both bikes. What Triumph can have that BMW cannot is rear radar with blind spot monitoring system in the Explorer trim. It can have both heated seats as well. It's got backlit switches and electronically adjustable suspension in every version, every trim, with more adjustment in the range. Both bikes have big displays and BMW does it better here than Triumph, but well, you can get the Triumph with more stuff overall that you won't find in BMW, and so the Tiger 1200 gets a win here in the tech category. If you would calculate shaft drive into that, well, it makes it win even with a larger margin. In terms of exhaust sounds, so the next category, BMW S1000XR used to be a very fun bike to listen to with its exhaust pops and cracks. Now in this generation, that's gone, and the bike sounds just like any other standard 4-cylinder powered bike nowadays. Tiger sounds like nothing at low RPM, and you can hear more mechanical noises on the engine than the exhaust, which is a shame. However, it wakes up at higher RPM sounding really fantastic, especially for an inline engine. So it does win here for me because of that. Well, and it loses at idle. So which situation, which circumstances are more important? Well, none of these two bikes sound awesome at idle, so we may just as well focus on what happens later, and this is where Tiger scores much more with its stock exhaust, so I believe that it deserves a win overall. Now, off-roading needs to be skipped, but likely if I had to choose a bike for a rougher path, it would be Tiger due to more suspension travel and more ground clearance that give you additional safety. And I do not recommend taking either off-roading. I think they are just not made for that. Now, what about the design? And oh, I like this one because S1000XR, I feel, is a beautiful bike. It's obviously very personal and a totally subjective perspective based on my own taste, but this bike looks to me both sleek and powerful with clean lines and no controversy. Tiger 1200 is more raw, sort of, and more controversial with that beak and the front face that reminds me of a certain animal. Well, doesn't it to you guys? In my books, this is a strong win for a conventional looking and a very pleasant to the eye BMW S1000XR. Now the one before the last category, so price and value for money. We've got bikes that are pretty similarly priced. Tiger 1200 in its base version is starting at a lower price than S1000XR, but then at the level that seems to make the most sense, so with additional equipment for BMW and in a Pro trim for the Tiger 1200, BMW is on average around 11% more expensive. But does it bring more value to the table comparing to the Tiger? I'm not sure, and considering all the equipment and newer tech, I feel that Tiger does bring more value for money to the table. A drive shaft, backlit switches, adjustable seat, more adjustment of that not the best windshield, still for less money? I say that it's gotta win, especially that Triumph may be perceived as a premium brand here as well, so BMW does not have the very big edge here. And now the last category that I named the X Factor. Triumph Tiger 1200 GT has a cool engine that sounds really nice at high RPM. Other than that, it's not exactly something that most of us would fall on their knees for, but this is what we might do considering BMW S1000XR's straight line performance once it gets up there in the RPM range. When it does, man oh man, things from hell start happening on Earth, and it's one of the most exciting rides, I think. For this alone, BMW S1000XR gets a very strong win here in the X Factor category over the Triumph. But please do tell me what you guys think about the excitement around both of these bikes. Which one does seem more exciting to you after riding especially, or even without riding? And I expect this to be actually an interesting topic between these two. So we've got BMW winning in suspension, wind protection, brakes, design, and X Factor. Triumph Tiger 1200 GT takes wins in engine and overall performance, in handling, seat and position comfort, drivetrain, fuel tank, weight, tech, exhaust sound, and price and value for money. That's a lot here. But alright then, which one to take home in the end? In my case, I feel that performance usable every day in all conditions is something that I would prefer. Handling is also very important, as along with perceived weight, it can either encourage you to take a bike for a random spin around or not. Tiger 1200 GT would give me that along with a shaft drive. It just doesn't look and just doesn't excite me that much overall. Still, this would be the bike that I would choose myself out of these two. And it just feels a bit more competent for a variety of tasks and different riding conditions, while not exactly sacrificing that much in some spots where BMW seems to be doing a better job. If I could also keep some money in my pocket while getting more stuff at the same time, then I'm happy with such a deal. Now, if you would like to see my full reviews of each of these bikes, there are videos linked for you in the description. And now, subscribe for more comparisons coming.